Let's go.
What a lovely day!
Andy, there's a whole world out there. Jump in.
Can you dig it?
Yeah.
You must always pay strict attention.
I was just completely enamored by it the entire time.
Dude, he did not have to go that hard.
I know, man. Isn't it wild?
The Jared Cast.
So it begins.
Hey, how's it going? Welcome back to the Jared Cast, 50% sicker edition. I am one of your hosts, Jared, with me, as per usual. Also, Jared, how you doing, good sir?
I'm doing well. I'm caffeinated. I'm getting hydrated. I just had some Popeye spicy chicken sandwiches with blackened ranch on the side. And I'm a satisfied young man.
Hell yeah! Is Popeyes your favorite fast food chicken sandwich? Have we had this discussion? I'm sure we have at some point.
It is. It's my favorite fast food fried chicken in general, I think. I would say it goes Popeyes and then Jollibee and then Chinese KFC. I don't know. My fingers are.
Yeah, I haven't had Jollibee, but I think I would do Popeyes, Chinese KFC, then maybe like Raising Cane's.
As soon as you and Mango come to LA, that's the first place I'm going to take you guys. Because as foodies, you're going to have your minds blown. Like,
I'm down.
I guarantee you've never had spaghetti and fried chicken in the same meal.
I can't say I have, and I'm looking forward to it.
Hell yeah.
Oh.
Yeah,
Unfortunately,
cool.
That's not what we're talking about today.
No.
Sadly, this is not a top 10 fast food fried chicken episode. Instead, we're doing our top 10 favorite video games of all time. Inspired by The Last of Us being a hit show, we want to get an episode of that out ASAP. However, we're going to just talk straight gaming today. You are a much bigger fan of video games. I feel like you have stronger opinions on video games than I do, and you know more about video games than I do. But I'm excited to bust out some hot takes for everybody today.
Yeah. I think skill level wise, I'm pretty much casual across the board. But I love some of these games, man. I love some of them a lot. Particularly Uncharted 2 Among Thieves, which came out on the PS3 long ago, and it still holds up on the PS3. Like, I'll still play it sometimes. And holy shit, this game is crazy. It starts off with you in a train hanging off of the Himalayas.
Damn.
And you got to climb out of the train before the train like fully falls off the cliff. Like that's how the game teaches you to move. And so it's a flash forward, obviously, and then it goes back, and it's this really awesome tale that's like National Treasure and Indiana Jones on crack. And Nolan North, who plays Nathan Drake, is fantastic. There's a whole bunch of voice actors in there that give absolutely amazing performances. A lot of death-defying scenes and really awesome gunfights. And what's great about the Uncharted gameplay is like they make you really feel like you're a treasure hunter, like swinging on ropes and shooting guys with AK-47s in one hand at the same time. Absolutely insane. It's so much fun. You can pick up propane tanks, throw them in the air, and shoot them while they're in the air on a PS3.
Badass.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's so good. So yeah, I got to go with this one. It's widely celebrated as one of the greatest video games ever made. I have it as my number 10 because this is just kind of personal favorite list.
Yeah, yeah. It's Uncharted is one of those series that I wanted to get into, but I just like never got around to playing. And I feel like that's gonna be my thoughts on most of your list. Did you see the movie though?
I did not.
Okay.
As soon
Probably
as
for the best. I don't know. I didn't see it though.
as soon as I heard as soon as I saw the trailer, I lost interest, I think.
That's fair. That's fair. My number 10 is maybe the most polar opposite game. It came out last year, and it's a very embarrassing pick. But in terms of like sheer hours played, like I got a problem with this, man. For how dumb this game is, it's a real addiction, and that is Super Auto Pets.
Was not expecting that answer. Go on.
Which is basically these cute little animal emojis in an auto battler, and is just addicting as fuck. Like literally, I played it on like Steam, and I was like, that's a little too crackhead. So now it's just like whenever I'm taking a shit, I pop it open on my phone. Whenever I got like an hour to kill, I'll just open it up and play a few rounds. And I don't know. I don't know what it is about how stupid this is, but it's like perfectly balanced. It's perfectly simple. There's just enough luck and strategy involved that like I don't know, keeps me hooked, man.
Fuck yeah. So good. I can't say I've ever partaken, but I've only heard great things.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think you gotta drink the Kool-Aid. It's the perfect toilet game, I'm telling you.
I'm, sh- I'm sure it is. My toilet game is not on my list. It's Angry Birds 2.
Yeah, a
Um,
great pick.
they just added a bird named Melody who can swallow up debris and spit it
Ooh,
back out as like projectiles.
damn.
It's kind of OP. Yeah.
Yeah, sounds too good.
Yeah. So I've been killing in the PvP Angry Birds with that.
He's going pro, everybody watch out.
I am Diamond League rank 1. I'm slowly making my way to the top.
I didn't even know they had rankings.
Yeah, two has like a bunch of different game modes. It's weird. BioShock Infinite though only has one game mode, which is its story, and it is my number 9. I should be putting the whole BioShock trilogy in here, but I've put the most hours into BioShock Infinite. BioShock 1 was a game changer. It's one of the greatest first-person shooters of all time. Super existential, super kind of what? And BioShock 2 followed up on that by giving you a really awesome protagonist. BioShock Infinite or 3 kind of just completely changes everything. Like instead of under the sea, you're in the sky. You're fighting robots that look like George Washington and they carry giant railguns. You're following this girl named Elizabeth, and you're this random guy named Booker DeWitt, and you have to bring us the girl or wipe away the debt, and that's all you know about the plot. And the plot just goes into this crazy multiversal thing that, like, before Rick and Morty, like, blew my mind at the concept of multiple realities existing at once. And it's also like a really heartfelt story about about repentance and atonement and what it means to atone for something bad that you did, what it means to wipe away the debt. And it also uses that story and that theme to comment on American exceptionalism. And also, you get magic powers and crazy guns, and you can use both of them at the same time in either hand. One of my favorite magic powers is called Murder of Crows, where you basically summon a cloud of crows to eat the person in front of you.
Oh,
It's really gory. Yeah. This was again a PS3 game,
Yeah.
and it looked fantastic. We have a friend that would love to adapt this into a video, into a movie, and I'm like, please, please let me get eaten by crows. I want to get eaten by crows so bad. Um, yeah, I got to go buy a Shock Infinite. Super hectic gameplay, really amazing stuff.
Hell yeah. Yeah, another one I've heard great things about but never played myself. Um, my number 9 is probably the game that I got the most like cathartic sense of accomplishment when I finished it. It's not like I'm not typically a platformer type of guy. I barely even beat Mario growing up. But this shit like grinding it out for hours and hours and finally completing it was a great feeling like no other. And that is Celeste, little indie darling, and it's great. It's honestly, it's the mechanics are super smooth. It's hard as fuck, but it gives you that great sense of accomplishment I talked about. It's got a great but pretty basic story of overcoming anxiety and depression. Beautiful art style and a fucking amazing soundtrack. I go back and just listen to the soundtrack for this pretty regularly. I'm due for a replay. That's probably why it's only at number 9, is because I've only braved the mountain once, but a definite worthy adventure for sure.
Shout out indie titles, man. Indie platformers are so awesome. I've not played this, but I'm looking at the Google images right now, and holy shit, looks amazing.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and it gets like intense. It's hard as fuck. There's great like completionist type side quest where you just collect strawberries and shit. It's just a lot of fun. I'd recommend it if you're into some platforming.
Hell yeah. Um, my next pick, speaking of completionists, this was one of this is, I think, the only game that I platinumed. It's Marvel's Spider-Man, which I played on the PS4 originally. It's now on the PS5 again, but I've only played the PS4 version. I think this is the greatest Spider-Man adaptation from the comics. I think it's better than all the movies as far as telling Peter Parker's story. I think it's also just a really amazing game. Like the way they do the web swinging is so fantastic. It's literally the best traversal in any game that I've ever played at all. Like I could just swing for hours.
Yeah.
I it's the only time I ditched classes in college to play a video game was when Spider-Man came out. It's the only time I said, "Hey, I'm sorry." I emailed my professors, "Hey, I'm sorry, I'm throwing up and I have diarrhea.
So
Uh,
sad. Never been sicker.
I'll see you guys next week." And they were like, "Oh, feel better, Jared." Uh,
And then you just swung around New York for hours.
sorry, apologies to Sumia and Jason. Um,
Dude.
but yeah, Marvel Spider-Man is the bomb.com. Also, great Mary Jane story as well. Great Otto Octavius story as well. Yeah, really amazing stuff. Can't wait for part 2.
Yeah. I played a little bit of this. My college roommate Sam was in love with it, and so whenever he was playing it in the living room, I'd like join and knock out a mission or two, or just swing around and take out some thugs. And I had a great time. I wish I got to play it more, but the swinging is definitely, even like the original Spider-Man games. That's all I would do, is just like swing around and hang out, and so that alone brought back a lot of great memories.
So good.
So a great pick. My number 8 has probably the douchiest fan base on the planet. And it's also my first nostalgia pick. It's Call of Duty, uh, Modern Warfare 2, the original, not the new one. I haven't played that one or the remake. There's like 3 or 4 Modern Warfare 2s at this point, but the OG. It's also kind of a tie with Black Ops because I played a lot of zombies with Black Ops. Um, but man, I just loved Modern Warfare 2. My friends and I would this is this is the game I got into underage drinking with. And we would just go to Dutch Bros and put vodka and Rebels and stay up all night and play Call of Duty. And that's a great time, man. I don't know. There's just a lot of great memories with this, and most of them were just like messing around and trying to just do some insane shit, run around with just a knife or whatever you want. It's just a good time. I had a lot of good memories with it.
That's the most kid thing I've ever heard. Going to Dutch Bros and
Absolutely.
getting a vodka Red Bull or making a vodka Red Bull. That's amazing. Yeah. Love Call of Duty. Love the whole franchise. At least the ones that I've played.
Yeah.
Not a whole lot of first-person shooters on here. I think I only have 2. Although I do love that genre of gaming, and I do love the Black Ops and Modern Warfare games. Sadly, they are not here, just for personal preference, not because they're not great.
Yeah.
My number 7, the only reason GTA is not on my list is because Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag is GTA, but you're a pirate. Uh, like you get to sing sea shanties and raid other vessels and steal their shit. You get to choose to spare the life of the crew or just assemble them into your own crew to make your boat bigger. There are these legendary ships that are these impossible boats to kill at the beginning of the game. And you have to like slowly build up your crew and your boat until you can face them. There's a really great story that factors in all these legendary pirate characters from history. Edward Teach, otherwise known as Blackbeard, Captain Kidd, Anne Bonny, and her the other lady pirate. Sorry, but yeah, Stede Bonnet. Like all these like fantastic figures who I grew up reading about in these pirate history books as a little kid. I got to meet them and become friends with them and fight the government with them. It was crazy. You could go hunting. You can make animal skins out of like legendary animals and shit. You can just play an assassin and just be the Assassin's Creed person. Um, and it was just really satisfying combat, really brutal stuff, and you can use a blunderbuss and a cutlass in one hand, and it's just perfect, man. It's just so perfect. You could customize your own pirate outfit. Like it's not even fair. It's so good.
I haven't played that one. I've played a bit of 2 other Assassin's Creed games, and I've wanted to play that one. I heard it's like, if not the best, like easily like top 2.
Yeah.
And maybe this glowing review will be the thing that pushes it over the edge. But since I haven't played Pirate Grand Theft Auto, my number 7 is Grand Theft Auto 5. It still made it. There's
Amazing.
just no better game to fuck around in than Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah.
Like literally, that's all it comes down to. The campaign of this game, it was fun. I actually had a lot of fun playing it. And I'm usually not like a campaign style player when it comes to video games, but man, just like hijacking cars and jumping them around the map and shooting people. I didn't even get into the online, and that goes deep as hell now. But literally just for pure insanity and possibilities, Grand Theft Auto 5's gotta make my list.
Yeah, one of the greatest games of all time. One of the best in that franchise for sure. Did you choose to sell out Trevor or
Nah.
no?
I couldn't. I couldn't bring myself to do it.
Yeah, that's how you know Jared's a real one.
Yeah.
Yeah, amazing game. Amazing game. My number 6 is an oldie but a goodie. I played it on the PS2. It was one of the first handful of games that I had. Um, and yeah, it's the only sports on entry on this list. I love a lot of sports games. The 2K series is obviously great. NFL 2K5 is one of the best football games ever made. With I think Terrell Owens is on the cover of that one. Um, and I love a lot of the boxing games as well, a lot of the wrestling games. But there's something that's just so special, so uh, nostalgic to me, and so beautiful about NBA Street Volume 2. Um, it's the coolest fucking game ever, man. It's so good. You play 3-on-3 basketball with all your favorite players from 2002 and earlier. It was the first game in the series where they incorporated like classic characters, so you can have like Michael Jordan, Dr. J, and Magic Johnson on the same team, playing against Shaq, Kobe, and Dirk Nowitzki. Like it was amazing. It was so good. They had these like characters that you could unlock that were like they weren't like great basketball players, but they were like made up street ballers, and so the tricks that they did were extra cool. Um, you had these things called game breakers where you would smash these buttons, and um, you would basically do like a combo dunk with all three members of your team. It was absolutely fantastic. Beautiful soundtrack. Freaking Eric Sermon, Nelly. By the way, you could play as Nelly in the game. Uh,
I forgot about that.
just cause
Yeah.
there's no story or anything. He's just there. Um, uh, yeah, you could play as Nelly. You could play as and who else was in it? Nate Dogg that was the first time I ever heard a Nate Dogg song was in that game. Yeah, amazing video game.
Yeah, absolutely. It probably would have made my list had I got more hours into it. I had a friend who had it, so every time I went over, we'd play it, but I never owned it, so I like never got that deep connection. But it is a fantastic pick. I also only have one sports game on my list, and it's my number 6. It's Wii Sports, which is the definitive best sports game ever made, and I will always stand by that. You've got tennis, you've got baseball, you've got bowling, golf, boxing, all amazing. Especially, I mean, bowling is a classic. Boxing is just fucking fantastic. This game, endless hours of entertainment. It kind of, I don't know, it opened up more possibilities to my little child brain of what games could be. This single-handedly made me waste money on the PlayStation Wii knockoff, like the glowing ball
The iToy?
controller. Yeah, because Wii Sports was just that good, and I just wanted more of it. Switch Sports is pretty decent now. It's a good enough filler to get that family together feel. But Wii Sports will just never be beat.
Yeah, the Wii is definitely one of the most interesting gaming consoles in history. Um, and I just loved like turning on the news and hearing about another Wii Sports injury.
every or somebody like shattering a TV, like just another video of that every fucking day.
So good. So good. Yeah, an amazing game for an amazing console.
Yeah.
My number 5 is one of the. It's the main reason I even got the PS4. It is Uncharted 4: A Thief's End. So Naughty Dog is an interesting game developer. They started out with Jack and Daxter, and then they evolved to go to Uncharted. And then after that, they evolved even further to The Last of Us Part 1, where they really stepped up their AI. And the enemy AI was like this really intelligent, really crazy thing. And Uncharted 4 came out after The Last of Us Part 1. It was their first game on the PS4. There were a lot of delays, not because of any problems, but because they kept wanting to make it perfect. And all those game delays ended up really paying off. It's the best entry in the Uncharted franchise. It is so good. It wraps up everybody's stories well. There's an expansion that also wraps up Chloe's story from Uncharted 2. But yeah, there's a gameplay that kind of the gameplay is like even more crackhead because they took the climbing, the puzzling, and the shooting, and they put it all together. And so you have these crazy set pieces where you're like, and they took the enemy AI from Last of Us. So these enemies are actually like smart, and they're actually like trying to figure you out and actually trying to shoot you while you're swinging in the air. It's just really insane and absolutely bonkers. There's this really amazing, one of my favorite video game villains of all time is this British Special Forces agent named Nadine, and the entire game you never beat her. Like she just constantly kicks your ass because you're so used to like finally overcoming and doing the Indiana Jones thing, but nope, she just kicks your ass every time, and it's fantastic. It's so good. Yeah, dude. It's also directed by, co-directed by Neil Druckmann, and that's why I think the story had an extra bit of spice to it. Neil Druckmann's the creator of Last of Us. But yeah, very good game.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, you're making me want to try out Uncharted. Maybe I'll play through the whole thing. Who knows? Just gotta get a PlayStation at some point. My number 5, yeah, 5,
Correct.
was a game that I was so late to. Like, I think 8 or 9 years late to. But I loved it immediately, and I played it for like a year straight. And that's Skyrim. The only Elder Scrolls game I've played, and I absolutely adore it. It was kind of like not the first open world game I fell in love with because Grand Theft Auto, and future entry on this list kind of, but this one just felt so much bigger than anything I'd played, and in terms of like story. Like I think the map on Grand Theft Auto is like probably a lot bigger than this, but this feels like it's just got so much density to it. Plus, like the mods for it are insane and a lot of fun. The DLCs are crazy and a lot of fun. There's just so many different ways to play it and explore every nook and cranny of the world, that it just tickled me. it just did it for me.
Hell yeah. Yeah, Skyrim definitely up there is one of the best open world games ever made. And open world is like my favorite type of game, so I'm very I've only played a little bit of it. I know it would ruin my life if I actually bought it.
Yeah.
Um,
It's sad that my first playthrough of it was on the Switch to really hit home how how late I was and how weird that experience. Because it's not a good console. I'll say it.
Yeah,
But it's got good games, and this is one of them.
for sure. And it's probably also better that you can take a game that long and bring it with you to places and
Yeah,
stuff. Yeah.
yeah.
Um, my number 4 is an open world game. It is a massive open world game, especially for something that started on PS3. Um, and especially for something that has two like playable characters in it, and multiple game modes as well. It built on its predecessor. It's a sequel. It built on its predecessor in a way that's just superior in every way. I guess the atmosphere of the first one is a little scarier, but I mean, Batman Arkham City is just, it's the bomb.com, dude. You feel like Batman. It has a direct influence on literally every superhero game that came after it, including Marvel's Spider-Man, the gadget wheel, the targeting, the enemy radar, like the kind of reading who's gonna attack you and from where. Like all of that started with the Arkham games, and Batman Arkham City introduced new combos, new characters, and yeah, the story is basically that they section off a part of an entire borough of Gotham City for all the criminally insane. And so you have like that entire part of Gotham uh, as an asylum, and it's absolutely bonkers. Sometimes you don't even know when you're going to run into a villain, you just do. One of the greatest like jump scares in all of gaming history is in there. Um, there's also some weird psychedelic shit, and on top of all of that, it's a fantastic finale to the story of the Joker and Batman. And on top of that, you can play as Catwoman in the story, and you have to
Ooh.
rescue Batman at one point. Like it's insane. Um, you fight Mr. Freeze at one point, and Mr. Freeze's AI is so good that you can't hit him the same way twice. You have to constantly figure out a different way to attack him. It's weird. Yeah, Batman Arkham City, one of the best open worlds ever. And certainly, I think, in my opinion, the best superhero game ever made.
Damn. Have not played. I feel like definitely seen like game footage, and it looked fucking tight. Uh, and so maybe I'll get to it eventually. We'll see. Who knows?
That one's on Xbox, I think.
Oh, it is? Okay. All right. That definitely increases its odds. Um, my number 4 is definitely not. It's on the original Xbox, if anybody's got that lying around. It came out, I played it on PS2. It came out 2005. That is Star Wars Battlefront 2. This shit, like, I loved the Star Wars movies growing up. Like they, they were a mainstay constantly. But like this game like really made me fall in love with Star Wars. This and like Lego Star Wars were like, ooh, I love this world. And man, the hours spent playing this, whether it was the story, whether it was hopping on Mos Eisley and just playing Jedi's versus Jedi's, whether it's like just finding a glitch and riding a whatever the whatever the little motorcycle things were. I'm drawing them blank, outside of the map and just jumping off the hills and shit. Um, there was just endless entertainment with this. It was one of the only games I ever played with my dad. He was never a big video game guy, but he loved playing this with me. And it's just a great time, man. So much love and nostalgia for this. And I'm dying for a modern way to play it.
Yeah, I am kicking myself in the teeth for forgetting about this because it would have made my list if
Yeah.
I didn't. Yeah,
It was literally like this and my next one were like late editions because like, oh, what the fuck? Why don't I have Star Wars Battlefront 2 on here?
I'm so mad at myself. Yeah, Battlefront 2, the original ones by Pandemic, I think is the name of the studio or developer. Yeah, dude, I was a killer sniper. I was a killer sniper in those games. Yeah, amazing. My number 3 is a different shooter. Not third person. It is a first person shooter, and I think for my money, the best first person shooter I've ever played. Um, it's gory and sadistic and fun and just kind of just like yeah, like just a whole like dimension of Evil Dead 2 vibes. It's it's so good. And Yeah, Doom Eternal, I think, took everything that everybody loved about the previous Doom games, cranked it up to 511, and just gives you a really hectic and challenging experience. It's a shooter that you can't just blast your way through. Like, you actually have to think about what you're doing. You actually have to consider resource management in the middle of battle. Um, the only way that you can get health is by melee attacking enemies, and so the game really smartly feeds you like weak enemies so that you can punch them and get health, and then fight the bigger bad guys. They give you a lot of amazing guns that are so much fun to use in every situation. They also, the only way you can get ammo is with a chainsaw. You have to chainsaw demons, and then they drop ammo. But the thing is, the chainsaw can run out of gas, so you got to get gas, and they only give you just enough gas that you can pass the level. It's very very difficult. It's very very challenging, but so much fun. It is absolutely insane. Simple story, rip and tear until it is done. Uh, that is the purpose of the Doomslayer. There's also new enemies that are like as fast as you, which is insane. Like, I can't tell you how frustrating it was, dude. It was oh my god, it was so bad. But yeah, Doom Eternal definitely worth getting. I think it's on Xbox as well.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't dipped. I think I've done like maybe 2 runs of any Doom game ever, and it looks a lot of fun, man. So yeah, I'll let you know. um, we're sticking with the PlayStation 2 for my number 3. Going back 2 years to 2003. Uh, this this is pretty interchangeable with any of my following two. Depending on when you ask, it might just be my favorite. But that's The Simpsons Hit and Run. The real best Grand Theft Auto style game. Instead of GTA but Pirates, it's GTA but Simpsons. It's got a great story, a lot of great Simpsons jokes and references and quotes. Um, and man, you're gonna just drive around in the most shitty looking polygonal version of Springfield possible. But man, this shit was so much fun. Just running around and kicking surveillance cameras for hours on end. I had a blast. I would pay literally like $100 for a remake of this. I need it so bad. I absolutely adore this game.
Oh, I'm so mad I never bought it, but yeah, I played a demo. It's amazing. It's so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, one of
So
my friends had it, and I was like, "Oh, I gotta get this like immediately." And then no matter where we were, just taking turns playing it. It was an amazing time.
Hell yeah. My number 2 is the last open world item on my list. It is, yeah, it's my favorite open world overall, and I love that every game on this list has been so far very hectic, very kind of over stylized and hyper stylized, and really just like in your face with the explosions and lets you kind of mess around and stuff. This one you can mess around, but it's a lot slower and yet still more engaging. Red Dead Redemption 2 came out while we were in college and ruined my life. I spent so much time on this game, hunting, fishing, picking flowers, um, shooting people, and taking care of my horse, feeding my horse, cleaning my horse, feeding myself, cleaning myself. It's like living your entire life as a cowboy out in the wild, wild west. And on top of being an amazing open world game where you get to do whatever you want, it is one of the best video game stories I have ever seen. No matter which way you play it, whether you play it with high honor or low honor, like being a really shitty person or a great person. Um, I personally tried to do like the best behavior in the first playthrough,
Yeah.
and I wept. I wept. This game got me into country music again for the first time since I was a little kid. Like it was so good, dude. Like, oh, and Arthur, who you play as, you immediately fall in love with him. He's so good, and you kind of get to see how well. So Red Dead Redemption 1, like you get to basically you just hear about Dutch's gang and how they fell apart. They were like brothers, but they fell up. They all fell out, and so you get to see that degradation of the love between outlaws in this story, and you get to see a young version of the character you play in Red Dead Redemption 1, and get to see how Arthur's life affects him. Uh, there's also like random little side pieces in the game that they're like, what the fuck? Why is this here? There's a fucking serial killer in the game that you have to hunt down. You find Dracula, like just in New Orleans.
Because of course.
He's just there. There's a guy who's trying to make a time machine. Uh, doesn't end well for him. You find like an alien death cult. There's like all these like buried creepy secrets all over the place in the swamps, in the boonies. It's a fantastic video game that I still have not explored all of it.
Yeah. I gotta give this one another chance. I played it for like 10 minutes and then I was like, this is such a daunting endeavor and I don't have time for it. So I put it down and I just never picked it up. I think I gave up on it like right before I was gripped. I mean, you've been hyping it up since like literally the day it came out to me, and so I think I'm due. I still got it like downloaded on Steam too, so I think I'm due to actually play through it.
Do you remember what was going on when you stopped? Are you still in the
Uh,
snow?
yeah, I think so.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I
You're only
liked
th-
it.
you're probably only there for another hour, and then the first train robbery, you're gonna be like, you can't stop playing.
Yeah, I definitely didn't get to a train robbery. Uh, yeah, I'll let you know when I give it another try, not if. Um, my number 2 is a game that I gave too many tries. I played this shit on a loop. The amount of playthroughs I had just throughout my life, from when I first got it on the Game Boy Advance to when I got it on an emulator on my phone just to play on like flights for a nostalgia trip. to even like randomize it, and that's Pokemon Fire Red. Everybody's got their like Pokemon game. This shit was mine. I never caught them all because you needed somebody who had Leaf Green to be able to get like two Pokemon, but I got them all besides that. Um, it's a stupid system. Um, but this game, like, endless hours of entertainment trying to like find secret mews under pickup trucks that don't exist, to try to catch like missing no and shit. Just the amount of like crazy rabbit holes that were usually nothing. Just hours of endless entertainment. Something about it, like it's the most bland story at this point, but I could still like play it tomorrow and have just as much fun as day one. Um, yeah, it's incredible. It's nostalgic. It's an easy number two, if not number one.
Hell yeah. I'm happy there's some Game Boy representation on the list because I sadly had to kick mine out. Um, the one I played the shit out of was Emerald version. Um,
Yeah,
but
that was
yeah,
probably my
those
second most played for sure.
yeah, I think yeah those but the ones you mentioned were like also just amazing. Like they're all great. It's Pokemon,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
yeah. Um, my number one is maybe the least surprising number one of
yeah.
any list that we've ever done, because I talk about this shit even when we're not listing video games. I can't get enough
True.
of The Last of Us, man. It's so good. Um, yeah, I can't wait for you and our guest on the episode to experience the full story of The Last of Us Part One. I'm guessing they're gonna split up Part Two into two seasons because Part
Yeah.
Two is like so. My number one is a tie between Part One and Part Two, just because I can't choose. I can't choose. I love
I was gonna ask which one would get a slight edge gun to your head.
gun to my head. Slide Edge to Part Two, just because of the gameplay is like a little more. There's more variety. There's more stuff you can do, and the enemies are way smarter, and they're like it makes you feel worse about the violence you commit. They're like you kill like they bring in dogs to hunt you, and so you have to kill the dogs.
Oh.
And they're like you hear the owner crying from in the distance, like no, like it's like
Oh.
it's really, or like they'll find like the other person's body. They got Brian. Like it's really heavy shit, man. Part two is like you think this season is heavy. Like
Yeah.
2 and 3 will wreck you. Yeah, but Last of Us Part One kind of changed my life, and really was the first time I saw story so intelligently woven specifically into the gameplay. You can literally feel Ellie start to trust you more in the gameplay, from the way she behaves to other enemies, the way she behaves to you. Um, she won't like hide in her own corner when you're in stealth. Like she'll start hiding with you. Um, there's stuff. There's like story beats that happen just while you're walking around. There's no cutscene. It's just something that was improvised by the actors after they made the game, and they just incorporate it into this one scene.
Damn.
The combat is ferocious. The zombie concept is beautiful and frightening at the same time. And with The Last of Us Part Two, it's basically just um, like if The Last of Us Part One is a story about is like a perfect video game story about love, The Last of Us Part Two is a perfect video game story about hate and what that can do to people. And um, I won't say too much, but when you yeah, it takes everything up to like an entirely new level, and is still one of the best looking video games of all time. I think both of them. You can see the difference in the expressions on people's faces. It's just different. It's just so much better. The soundtrack by Gustavo Santaolalla is killer. At one point in part two, you can actually like play the guitar as one of the characters. I won't reveal which one, but they just do so many things that other video games won't even try, and those big swings are often the most memorable things. And so I think it's just a fantastic achievement in terms of technology, a fantastic achievement in terms of video games, and in terms of artistic storytelling.
Yeah. I mean, I gotta believe there's a reason it's like a common consensus that it's one of the greatest ever made. It came out like post my PlayStation era, and so I just never really had access to it. But the second I do, I want to play it for sure. I'm in love with the show. We'll give more specific thoughts at some point. Um, but yeah, I can understand the hype just by what tiny knowledge I have of it and like what I've heard about it. And absolutely zero surprise that it was your number one. I knew for a fact like your number two and number one were gonna be Red Dead Last of Us. And just because I talked to you, just because I've had a conversation with you, I feel like it's kind of a given. Um,
I was
my
betting on
number,
Pokemon to be your number one, but
yeah,
yeah.
ooh. It was close. I literally like interchanged hit and run Pokemon and my actual number one like multiple times. I think they're all pretty close, pretty tied. But in terms of hours played, I think this one is like actually ruined my life. Like it's been bad. Like there's been like the staying up till like 4 a.m. type days, and that's not something I do with video games usually, and that's Civilization 6. It just sucks being deep, man. There's no story. The gameplay is simple. It's just turn based, but it's such a long, arduous game, and you don't want to stop the second you're like in it. The second you've like kind of got the ball rolling, there you're just like, okay, I'll do another like 5 turns and then I'll stop. I'll do another like 10 turns, then I'll stop. And it's like it's just the only game that I've gotten hooked that hard on. It's great balance. It's got a shit ton of different ways to play it. It's it teaches you about history, kind of. I know where some world wonders exist that I didn't know existed before, and I think that's worth something. The combat is engaging, but literally it just wins by sheer ability to suck you in and not let go. Like it just fucks with your head, man.
Has the newest DLC come out yet?
They released one a couple months ago. Um, with
Leader Pass or New Frontier or something like that?
Yeah, so they did New Frontier not a long time ago, but a while ago. And then they just added like Abe Lincoln and like the new Japanese leader, and they're always just injecting some new people, and like people will just make their own. They'll just be like, hey, you want to play as this one dude you've never heard of before from Iceland? And I'm like, yeah, sure. I've played it through enough with everybody else. I might as well give this a shot.
Oh yeah, Tokugawa. Um, Julius Caesar is going to be in it.
Yeah, yeah.
Queen Victoria, Cleopatra, Qin Shi Huang, the founder of China, of the Chinese Empire. Crazy.
Yeah. it's just too addicting. Like that's literally all it comes down to. Is like I was literally playing
Yeah.
it this morning or for like 4 hours, just because I was thinking about games and I was like, oh, I'm sick. Let's just play some Civ. I got my ass kicked because it's been a while, but
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah, this looks amazing.
yeah. I think you
I
got to drink the
uh,
Kool-Aid so I can get somebody else to play with.
I've never played like these types of games, so I would be very interested in doing it.
Yeah. Let me know
I
when you do.
just
It goes on sale a lot.
okay, cool. Is it available on console or is it just PC?
I feel like it is. Um, yeah, Switch, PS4, Android, Xbox, you name it.
Interesting. Interesting. Gonna have to get on that.
One of us, one of us, one of us.
I've only heard of it. I've never even watched gameplay before, but that looks amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
It's just a lot of fun, and try to balance every mechanic. It's dense as fuck. Your first few games, you're gonna be lost, but once you get the ball rolling, it's hard to stop.
fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. All right. Well, those were our top 10 favorite video games. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Tune in next week to hear us talk about an adaptation of The Last of Us with a very special guest. And yeah, thank you. We love you. Good list, Jared.
You
Goodbye.
too. Goodbye.